Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Cooking with Unity. I'm your host, Maximilian Moreau, and Phil is not with me today. It says his name there, but he's not here today, unfortunately. He wishes me luck on the show, wishes that we have a good one, and I think we're going to. But I'm going to try to not have too much fun without him. That's not true. I'm not going to make any effort either direction. But hopefully we'll have a great show. I do miss him from the standpoint of, he helps move the show along. And so hopefully I won't get stuck just staring at screens too much on this episode. So, not to mention he has just wonderful insight on everything. Alright, so I guess we'll just get started. So I have a link in the description to what we have for the episode right now. And what we've had for the 2D stuff so far. And then additionally a link to this zip file, which I'm going to show right here. It's called PushyInput Alpha. Alpha 1. Implying that there may be more alphas, and there likely will be. I don't want to minimize that. That scares me too much. FMLE is a very touchy program sometimes. So I'm going to open up PushyInput. Actually, I'll just switch screens here so that we can see what's going on here. And inside PushyInput is two scripts, PushyButton and PushyInput. And these are what I have so far on the input manager I started working on since the last episode. Because the last episode we spent basically the whole episode getting one button to work. And I want a solution that is much easier to work with so that we can just get buttons working in future projects. And so this is going to help you guys out, I think. I'm going to be building it out and making more versions of it and probably putting a version up on the asset store eventually. But for right now, this is what we've got. It's not complete, but it's getting there, and it's a pretty sweet little system. So I'm going to just import these into our project. Come on, project. There we go. I'm going to put it into scripts for right now. And let's look at what we have from last time. So I don't think there's any conflicts from this. So if we go hit play, what we've got going on here is I've got left and right movement on the keyboard, and I've got jump, and we can shoot things, and this is stuff that we had before. But we additionally have this A button that also allows us to jump now. And as I said, we spent basically the whole episode hooking up this A button, which seems like a waste of time, but sometimes things take time. We've got this control pad here. It doesn't actually do anything yet because all we had time to do was the A button. And so I'm going to basically show you what happened to the input manager over the last week and what PushyInput is and how to use it, and show you how much more simple this is going to be from here on out to do touch control stuff. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. So, our old input manager, it's called Input Manager, and what we have here is we have a bunch of code that basically supports mouse and touch that allows us to get the state of the jump button. And we just have these kind of hard-coded as Boolean values here, and so we've got these jump buttons here. And so that's all it does. It does a raycast, and it checks what's underneath it. We also send some messages and stuff. I got rid of that stuff in the touch manager for right now because I focused on getting just basically touch emulating joystick working, and it works pretty well. And then this basically ballooned out into PushyInput, which this is a much longer file, certainly. And the core of it does basically the same thing. It's just it handles a lot more cases, and it handles them in a nice generic fashion that allows us to set up things without having to change code. Like, it's all data-driven at this point to make this stuff work. There's a couple things in here that we're not really using yet. Like, we've got the screen size and inches stuff, which I was working on Sunday when I was showing some of this off. And I don't have anchoring stuff support in there yet. There's some commented out code if you want to play around with it and make it work yourself, but I will be making a good anchoring system for this eventually. Anchoring, by that I mean it puts the buttons in the appropriate places on the screen no matter what screen shape or size your screen is, so if it's on mobile it'll just look good. We don't have that, so we're just going to have to do that manually for this episode. It's not going to be a big deal. As I said, it will be something that will be supported by PushyInput later. And so it's a big old file, and then we've got another file that's much smaller, that's the main one that you're going to be interacting with. And this just sets up pushy input stuff automatically, and it allows you to just make a button out of something very easily. So let's give a shot at changing our current system to use this. So if we go to our player character, what we originally had is we have see, we're using input.getAxis to get our left and right movement with the keyboard. We don't have buttons for that yet. Now with the jump thing, we added, so we have input.getButton down jump button and inputManager.instance jump button down. So if either of these happen, we get a jump. So if I go and hit play, the if jump button thing makes it so when I hit Z I jump, and then the other one makes it so when I hit A I jump. If I get rid of the inputManager.instance.jump button down portion of this, the A button will no longer jump it. So if I hit play here and hit A, nothing happens. Because A is still doing something in the background, it's setting that value in the Pushy Input Manager, but nothing's checking for that value anymore. And the reason I'm deleting it and showing this is because I want to show how the new system works in contrast, because we're not going to have a separate call for it. We basically are going to have one input call. It's not going to be to input, it's going to be to Pushy Input, but Pushy Input handles all of the input methods and then extends a few of them. So I'm going to hit refresh here just in case we're not getting comments. I'm viewing comments on the iPad to my left here, so I'm not sure. I never trust this thing to update reliably, so if I'm behind on questions, I'm sorry, and just be patient, and I'll try and get to them as soon as possible. So so what we're going to do to support Pushy Input instead, if we go into our Input Manager, what are we doing right now in here? So we have a jump button, and then we have a jump button object, so we have to put the object in here. And so if we had set it up like this, we would have had to have a version for each button, and then we'd have to drag those buttons in. And this script is not part of the button itself, which I try to avoid when doing Unity stuff, honestly, because it's more confusing. You're like, oh, I want to change something about this button, and you're like, oh, where is the button? Maybe it's this touchdown debug, and then you find out, oh, that was actually a debug function that's tied into the input manager, but I need the input manager still to operate things. So I don't like that type of interface for things. I actually prefer scripts to be on objects when possible and when appropriate, and so that's what I've got for the Pushy Input thing. So I'm going to just delete the input manager. We don't need this anymore. I'm gonna be super bold and delete it from here as well. And we have Pushy Button and Pushy Input. So I'm gonna set up this A button to work. All I'm gonna do is, so our jump button is actually fire 1, which is defined in our input manager here. And just want to make sure that, yeah, I just for some reason thought I wasn't streaming video. So our input manager has fire 1, and this is actually what we're using for jump. Even though we have a jump button here, we're using fire 1, and that's defined in our input stuff for the character. So if we go to player character, if we go to our player character here, he has axis name, horizontal, jump button, fire 1. See, it's right there. And he's currently getting input from, that was because I deleted that. As I said, he's currently getting input from get button down here, and we don't need these extra things anymore because that was because we had 2 things that we were checking before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this A button, and I'm going to drag Pushy Button onto it. Pushy Button. I'll just do it onto the scene. Why not? So there, up here, we don't need on touchdown debug. I'm going to delete this. Remove component, and we don't really need this anymore, so I'm going to delete it. So A button now has a Pushy Button, and the defaults actually already are enough for us to, oh, why does it still have anchor update delay? Hold on. Just ignore anchor update delay. It's not used for anything right now, but it's not going to hurt it to be there. So all you have to do is basically set the input name and the type of button here, and I'll go over what these different things do, but But suffice to say that that's all we need to do. Now, it's not all we need to do, because I hit play and I click A and nothing happens. And the reason for that is nothing is checking for this, and I can't actually generate a Fire 1 message that the input manager can have. That's not something that Unity supports. So I had to create my own input manager, which is PushyInput here. Now, PushyInput is a singleton. You don't have to put it on anything. You can put it in your scene if you want to set some of the global options, but you don't have to put it in your scene. It will automatically instantiate itself if it's needed. And all you need to do is anywhere that you call input, you just replace it with PushyInput. So I'm just going to do a find replace here. Actually, we'll do an actual find replace. So search, replace, and we're going to replace space input, actually just input with PushyInput. And so I'm just going to hit, I'm not going to replace all, I'm just going to go through safely just in case. So input, yeah, that's good. Not that one because, oh wait, okay. So PushyInput, 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 PushyInput. Oh, whoops. Okay, that's the one problem with doing it this way is occasionally you find the one that you've already done. So I'm gonna just go ahead and delete that. So now we have all of these set up as PushyInput, and if we hit play now, when we hit the A button, we jump, and we're done. And we hit the Z button, and we still jump. Everything still works the exact same way that we want it. Yeah, the D-pad does go behind the first handful of ground blocks. We'll fix that in a second here. And how can I add a sound to say like when I shoot something or when I jump? We've done that on the show a few times before, but I'll go over it. I may go over it on this episode. We did sound on the artillery game. I would recommend checking that one out because it shows kind of two methods of doing it. One is play on awake, and one is actually telling the thing to play and spawning a sound object type thing. So so I may not cover that today because I don't have any sounds prepared for this episode. But if we run out of things to do, which we probably won't, I will do some sound work today. I wasn't planning on it though. So we have the A button jump working now. And the thing is, I replaced the input get access, PushyInput get access, but the movement still works, and that's because PushyInput automatically forwards all of the commands to. So basically, if you check for an axis, you get the results of that axis from both the built-in input manager and the additional functionality that I've added through PushyInput. And so that basically allows our buttons to work, and it also allows our virtual buttons to work. Both of them work just fine. So so now we can do the same for the directional buttons. Let's go ahead and fix that problem with it and showing up behind the dirt there. So how far ahead is A there? It's at Z1. Is this actually attached to the camera? Yeah, it is. So Z1 there. We'll just do the same thing. And multi-ball. Yeah, that's the sound stuff that I was talking about that was just referenced there. So we're going to, so that should fix the buttons not being in front here, and I'm going to now I'm gonna make this just a little bit bigger so that I can see it, and we're going to make the I'm gonna give this a child object. So we're gonna create a empty game object. I'm going to put it inside of the D-pad. The reason I'm doing this is because the D-pad represents two buttons, so I'm going to basically set up two colliders to handle this. So we're going to make a left one, and it might require four if we were doing up and down, but right now the game doesn't support it, so I'm not going to worry about it. So there's left, and then I'm going to create right, and I'm going to give left a physics box collider, and I'm also going to give right a physics box collider, and we're going to move these into position. So both of these I want to be 0 in the Z layer, And let's just put them to 0, 0 for right now, so we put them on the thing. And then I'm just going to move the right one over here. 0.4 seems good. And then I'm going to move the left one over here. We'll do, again, negative 0.4 this time, so this on the other side. And we're going to attach the pushy button script to each of them. And the first one is going to be a negative axis button, and this is going to be for horizontal, which is defined in our input manager. And then we're going to do the same thing here, except for positive axis button, horizontal. And I'm going to hit play, and bam, I'm moving right there. I can just kill that guy by touching him because we didn't work on his collision very much. So now I've got left and right, and I've got jump. And so now if I wanted to do if I wanted to make a final button for the shoot button, we can just go into our sprites here, grab the B button looking thing here. I think this is it. Yep. And we attach a physics. Actually, I'm not going to attach the rigid body to it. I'm going to actually just attach the script pushy button to it because I want to show you something. We're going to call this B. We'll call this shoot button. I'm going to put it inside of the main camera again, so this stuff will stay on the screen with us. And let's put it around the same place as the A button. So A button is at Z1, so let's put shoot button at Z1. And we'll just move it somewhere around here or something. Oops. And let's make these a little bit bigger. Let's make them 2. And I'll go ahead and make the Z2 as well, even though it doesn't make much of a difference. Alright, so if we hit play now, we've got here, now the thing is, I've got this message here. For pushy buttons to work, they need a 3D collider of some kind. So I did a little bit of error checking on this thing. It's no big deal, but it's nice to have these type of messages. The main reason I did it is because it was possible. I wasn't checking for just a normal collider at first. I was checking for that's interesting. Oh well, doesn't matter. I was checking for what was I getting to on this? Sorry. Well, anyway, it checks to see if it has a collider. So even if you put the wrong collider on here, it'll complain at you. You can put a physics 2D collider, which you might be inclined to do if you're used to using the 2D tools, which I'm going to recommend that you don't at this point. But if you were, you'd put a box collider 2D, you hit play, and you'd still get the message for pushy buttons to work. They need a 3D collider of some kind. And if you click the message, it shows you what object is giving you this message to. I think. Supposed to. Let's try it one more time. There it is. So you shoot button. So it shows you where the problem is. So all we need to do is change this thing out with a remove component. We're going to put a box collider. And finally, all we need to do is set this up as a push button, and we'll make this fire 2 for the shooting. And now I can jump, and I can shoot, and I can still jump and shoot with the buttons, and we can move left and right. And all of this actually works on touch. So let's look at that. I'm going to save the scene, save the project. I'm going to go build settings, and we're going to switch over to iOS here. And what are we going to do? So in the scene here, I'm going to just readjust the buttons real quick so that they look good. I'm just going to hit play and change this to wait. Why did it not change the build settings? I didn't actually switch platform. So I want to switch platform. We'll have to wait for a couple things to get imported again. I'm going to hit refresh on the comments because I'm not seeing many, but it might just be that people are quiet tonight, which is fine. because it's quiet here tonight. It's very quiet, especially compared to Monday. We had 3 people here, and it was wild. It was fun. Everyone having a good time. So now we can check the aspect ratio and the exact resolution for things. So iPhone wide will give us what we want. We're doing a horizontal thing here, and I'm just going to move the D-pad around here so that we have it kind of in the corner of the display. And I'm going to move the A and B buttons with the same type of deal. So we'll move the shoot button down. Actually, let's move the jump button into the corner first, and then we'll know. And then we'll put the shoot button. So let's do -4 looks good. -6.5 I think looks good. Shoot button, let's move it to the left and down a little bit. I'm going to go for kind of a pseudo ergonomic thing for moving your thumb across this. 4.5, no, too far. 7.5 looks good. 2.5 looks good. And then I'm going to make the D-pad just a little bit bigger to match the kind of the button sizes. And then move it -5.5 and 3. There we go. So now I've got some controls, and I'm going to go ahead and save the scene, save the project, and I'm going to build out a iOS version here. So we're going to go to the desktop, 2D iOS, save. What this does when you're doing iOS builds is it builds a Xcode directory. Android, if you're doing that, it just builds you an APK, so you can just put that on your device, whatever method you want. It's actually easier to do than the iOS stuff, but I'm doing iOS because I don't have an Android device to show on the show today. So just have my phone. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to open up this project. I'm going to make a quick change to the build settings because someone showed me how to decrease the build time considerably. So just bear with me one moment. Build settings, all dwarf, and we just want dwarf. We don't need the dsym file. And so now if we hit play, this will build for my phone, and I'm just going to let that build for a moment while we wait. And this should take a lot less time than last time that we did something like this. I'm going to switch over to my camera. Just the face. All right. There we go. Hello guys again. I'm still here. I'm in the flesh. Alright, so this thing's still linking. No, it's running now. And I'm going to attempt to show you the controls from my perspective here. We'll see how good I can do at this. It's sometimes difficult. But we've got alright, come on. Come on, Unity. There we go. So we've got movement up. Killed myself already. Really should probably teleport the player or have a death condition or something so that it's easier to test this stuff. Sometimes you have to add features just so that you don't have to spend so much time messing about with things. Let's check some settings here real quick. What are we using for the orientation settings here? Project settings, player, auto rotation. So why was that not auto rotating? Maybe that's not the actual file that I thought it was. There it is. Alright, found it. So I launch this again. all I'm basically showing here is that things work. So I think this is going to be the side that has the buttons, right? No, that's going to be the movement. This is going to be the buttons, right? Come on. Come on. You can load. Oh, it's probably screwed up in here somehow. Alright, I'm going to stop debugger and try running it again. There we go. That was much faster. So we've got jump, which is there, and we jump. We've got shoot, and it shoots. Does it shoot? Did I test shooting? Okay, there we go. Shooting, he died, perfect. And we've got left and right on the D-pad, and we can just kind of slide it to the left and the right, and he'll move left and right. And yeah, so we have touch input, very easy to implement now with this system. So go ahead and quit Xcode. This handles a lot of stuff for you too. So one of the things that so these buttons are set up as push buttons, and what push buttons do is when you touch them, they work. And if you have your finger down and you brush over them, they work. And if you bring your finger off of them, they work. But you won't get repeated down events until your finger comes off or you lift up and click back down. Same with the axis stuff. That's how this works by default. But we have a few other button types that have different behaviors. So if we wanted to do something fancy, let's not show the fancy yet. Let's just show one of the other ones here. And I think I don't actually have this set up exactly right. It's not exactly the way that buttons work just yet, but as I said, this is an alpha. So we have two other button types. We have the menu button and the hold button. So the menu button works kind of like a menu, where if you click on it, it goes down, but you can't see its button state, but it's actually down right now, and then if you release, it's up. But if you click and go off of it, it's not down anymore. And if you drag onto it, it doesn't go down in the first place, like the A button does, but the B button doesn't anymore. So it works very much like a control. If you go to like restart here and I click and hold cancel, when I move off of it, it's off. And if I move off of it and release, it cancels the click. But if I click on it and release it, it actually functions. And yes, it would be so nice to do iOS on Windows. I really would love it if Apple would figure something out along those lines. Unfortunately, it's mostly due to their like DRM system, and they just don't want to build Xcode out for Windows, I guess. Not that anyone on Windows would actually really want to use Xcode. I don't think I've met anyone that really likes Xcode, especially the current version. So I like the old stuff. It was really good, and then they kind of really broke it a couple years ago. So, so that works like a menu button, but then I have this third type that's not really like any buttons that I've run into, but it's actually really useful on touch. It's called a hold button. And what this one does is it works just like the press buttons, and actually it'll be kind of difficult to tell, but when you go over it and shoot, it counts as still being down anytime that your finger's down. Now this is useful if you do something like make this an auto shooting thing. So if we go to our player character and we change it so that instead of getting button down, we just get the button state, you'll see where this shines. So we can be jumping around and stuff, and then we can start shooting, and you'll keep shooting, and then you can jump around by sliding your finger around. And because you can jump by sliding your finger, all of a sudden you can use this like a run button or a auto fire button, and you can just move your hand around like you would naturally on a controller, and it'll continue to work operatively. Oh, no. Really? Shoot. Thank you. I am so sorry that you had to deal with my face for so long. So, my apologies. So let me go back over what we were doing. So the menu buttons work like, well, actually this shows better with the auto fire on. So it counts us down until, now it shouldn't be shooting when I'm off of it, but it does right now because I set it up wrong before, but that's something I'll fix. But it should operate basically like a menu button, and what I showed on the show was this dangerous window, where you can cancel out, and you can see when you mouse over it stops being pressed, and you can cancel by releasing, and then if you press it over somewhere else and go over it doesn't turn on, but if you turn it on and then remove your finger from it, it actually activates. And that's what the menu buttons will actually do. They don't currently. But the hold button, what it does is it allows you to, and what we changed in the script here, which was not on the screen, instead of get button down for the laser button, I've changed it to just get button. And so when we get button down, you can now slide your finger from the fire button to the A button, and it will continue to operate as long as you don't remove your finger from the screen. So this allows you to kind of set shift keys for like run buttons or auto fire buttons on a touch screen, and then you can slide your thumb around kind of like you would on a controller to jump with it. Even if you're only generating one touch input, which you commonly do if you slide your thumb, it will still operate properly if you have one as a hold button and one as a push button. And so this is kind of a little useful tool for us right here. And so we've got auto fire and we've got movement, and all of this was super easy to set up. And as I said, the input manager, the PushyInput wraps the entire input class. So if you want input like anything that input has, PushyInput has. So input acceleration. Here, I'll show you the list. So we've got acceleration, event count, acceleration events, any key down, compass, compensate centers, etc. We've got all those in PushyInput as well. PushyInput. So if I hit dot here, we get acceleration, event count, acceleration events, any key down, compass, compensate centers, and it just keeps going. It has all of them. It also has some additional functionality too, like add virtual button is used by PushyButton to add a button to the system, and so it's input plus basically. It's got an additional functionality to the basic input system, but anything that you call will work from the basic input system. So it's super easy. If you already have keyboard control in your game, you can make it a touch control game incredibly easy. You can even do it if you're doing get key. I support that. So like if you had your game set up and you didn't really care about the input manager and you just were doing like get key and you wanted to do, say, key code dot left shift or something. Left shift. So if I hit save on this, we can go to play, and you'll note that that my shoot button doesn't work anymore because it's looking for left shift. But if I hit shift, it fires. If I hit left shift, it fires. But if I wanted to, I can just go into the jump button here, or the shoot button, and instead of saying fire 2, I just say left shift. This will now operate as the left shift key. See how it just works. So awesome. I love this thing. So I'm going to switch it back to Fire 1 though, because I actually prefer to organize things using the Unity Input Manager. But if you did anything slapdash, you can just slapdash it on your Input Manager and you're done. So get button, and I'll just leave it as get button Fire 1. So what are we doing? So I had mentioned something else we were going to do on the show, and I don't remember what it actually was. Oh yeah, we wanted to swap out the... Yeah, I wanted to swap out the 2D input stuff for the 3D input stuff, 3D collision stuff. So the reason I'm doing this is because I don't trust the 2D stuff anymore. I've run into a couple of inconsistencies. One of the big ones was there's collision inconsistencies, which we've mentioned on the show, but the big one that got me was I turned on interpolation in a case. I don't have it up here to show you, and it changed the speed at which the character interacted with the world, and I have no idea why. And it shouldn't, because it should just be interpolating between the two fixed update positions, and it wasn't. So that kind of behavior scares me, and so I would recommend staying away from the 2D stuff until Unity has time to make it a little bit less glitchy. Let's just put it that way. So I'm going to switch all this stuff out with the 3D stuff. So all we have to deal with are, we've got this character here who has a rigid body 2D and box collider 2D. I'm just going to switch it to, so we'll just remove the rigid body 2D. and remove the box collider 2D. Whoops, that was the wrong thing. Remove the box collider 2D. And then instead we're going to do physics, box collider, and physics, rigid body. And actually, I don't even think we need the rigid body this time because we needed it before because the collision response is not the same between the two, between the 3D and 2D stuff. So I'm just going to do the box collider and set him as a trigger. So let's see if he works still. So I'm going to touch him, and he's not going to work. And the reason is because his script is on trigger enter 2D. So all we have to do is switch that to on trigger enter, and hopefully, oh wait, this is still not going to work because we're trying to collide a 2D collider with a 3D collider because we haven't changed the player. So let's change the player real quick. I'm going to remove the box collider 2D. I'm going to remove the rigid body 2D. Remove component. And we're going to add physics rigid body and physics box collider. And the rigid body, I'm going to freeze the rotation on this so that on all axes. And I'm going to also freeze the position in the z-axis. This is a good practice if you're doing 2D games. Just keep everything close by and do this. So if I switch this into 3D mode, you'll see that he actually has a little bit of depth to his box. And that's just kind of automatic the way that they set this thing up, and you can change the individual scales, but this will work perfectly for our purposes. It just needs to be wide enough for these things, and you'll see that this guy has a little 3D collider now too. So hopefully at this point, if I hit play, things will still operate relatively similarly. Oh, got to change it for the ground tile as well. So we need to make sure that ground tiles are remove component, physics, box collider. Now hit play. Oh, that changed just that ground tile. So I'm going to hit apply, hit play. There we go. And we've lost the animation thing. That's because we are doing a line cast instead of a ray cast. So we're going to go into, where is it? Player character. So we do a cast. So we have a raycast hit 2D, and we do a physics 2D line cast. We're going to change this to a raycast hit, and we're going to do physics dot raycast, and actually we can probably do, is there a line cast? Line cast, there is. So we have a start and an end, and a layer mask, right? And this, okay, so we need to hit info on this one. So we're going to do line cast so that it stays the same. And this takes 4 arguments. We're going to need a start, an end, a raycast hit info, and a layer mask. So we have a start, the same thing as before. We have an end, the ground check position. And we have a layer mask, so we need a hit info in there so that we actually get the hit back. Because this actually just returns whether or not it hit. So what we're going to do is, instead of checking to see if hit.transform is null, we're going to do if physics line cast, and we're going to put an out hit here. No, just hit. Hit. It doesn't like me because I have an error above. I needed to have a semicolon here. And we don't need to check to see if the hit.transform is null anymore because it can't be if we've hit. So I'll just get rid of that. And that should fix that. Let's see if that does work. What's the license of PushyInput? The script is great. So it's going to be Creative Commons attribution. Go ahead and play with it right now, and just, if you use it in a final project, even if you use my alpha version in the final project, just say you like Cooking with Unity somewhere in your credits. I don't care, but just attribute it somewhere to Cooking with Unity or Max Moreau or both, preferably Cooking with Unity. That's the main thing. And so I made this script, yeah. So just in case people were questioning that, but the license is going to be as open as possible. I do want attribution just because I did make it. That's all I'm asking. I will probably be selling this on the asset store as well, but it's going to come with the script and a whole bunch of prefabs and a whole bunch of stuff that just works. So you can just drag something into the scene and you have buttons and everything works. So, but just the scripts themselves you can freely distribute and use in your projects, and even if you buy them on the asset store, they're still going to be on that under that license. So if you need to like share your project with someone, you're not going to be screwed if you use the system or anything. So I'm going to hit play, and that didn't fix our problem. So let's see what we got going on here. So, oh, because we're still doing another line cast here. So what is this here? Oh, this is just for the platform you're on. So we need to fix the same thing for here. This one will be physics, line cast. And in this case, we don't need the hit because we don't care. We just care if it's a collision, it's a thing. There we go. And we're back down. I can't jump anymore for some reason, or I'm really bad at jumping. So let's find out what's happening with. There's no rigid body 2D attached, so that's probably where this thing is. Oh yeah, we're doing an add force. So let's do rigid body.add force. Save. So now, all right, all those errors went away. We can jump again. He's a little slower. That's interesting. Or is that the same as the previous jump? I don't even remember anymore. And he's jumping and shooting at the same time for some reason. What did I do? Jump button and grounded. Why is he jumping and shooting? And he doesn't jump when I hit the other button anymore. And now both these buttons jump and shoot. Okay, what did we do? What did I do? What did I break? Alright, so if get button down, jump button. So let's see what we got for project settings, input. Fire 1 is Z, Fire 2 is X. Are these set to Fire 1 and Fire 2 on the player? Do I have a bug? I did say it was in alpha, didn't I? So I want to reiterate that my thing is in alpha, and if it's acting up, I'm sorry. Let's find out if it's my script acting up. So I can jump on Z and nothing's happening on X. I'm just going to change the... I'm going to change this to be regular input for right now, just to see what's going on. Save. See if it does the same stuff. Yeah, looks like it's still doing the same thing. Must have worked something somewhere. Yay, bugs. It was a good episode, and now it's changed the box. It keeps falling through the world. Sure, I'll do that right now. So we've got the exclamation point blocks. We're going to change this to remove component, and we're going to add physics body, physics rigid body, not the 2D version, and box collider. If we hit play, the box shouldn't fall through the world anymore, and we should be able to push it even. Oh, that was cool. And that's what happens if you don't lock your Z-axis or don't lock your rotational axis. So I was actually able to show that this is a 3D collider. Whee! And there it is. There's my 3D collider doing something. So let's go to our let's go to this thing and make sure that we freeze the. We don't want to freeze the X and Y rotation on this one because we want it to look like it's falling off. But we do want to freeze the Z position and the Z rotation. So if we hit... Oh, wait. No, we don't want to freeze the Z rotation. We want to freeze the X and Y rotations. That's how we actually want it. So if we hit play now, it shouldn't... Oh. Exactly the opposite. We want to freeze X and Y rotation and freeze Z position. There we go. So It is interesting that I was able to get through, push through that thing somehow. Let's see what happened there. Are these actually on the same plane? Yeah, they are. And let's actually watch this in 3D. Move this so we can put input in and see what actually happened there. Alright, well, that didn't seem too bad. Let's try pushing it really hard. Oh, I actually got stuck in it. That's unfortunate. That's probably because we're just moving the player as opposed to doing a rigid body move. Let's see if we can fix that. So if I go into our update here and we go to where is it? This is why I'm going over this on the show, is so that we can so that if you're setting up the 3D stuff, you don't run into these problems. As I said, I recommend at this point going with the 3D colliders, even though you're going to have to do a little bit more setup like this stuff, just because I can't trust the 2D system to work properly right now. So, where is the player position? So, I'm actually going to go with a different function for when we move him. So let's see everywhere we do transform dot position. So that's where we instantiate. We don't care about that. Moving platform logic. We don't care about that. We do care about that one. That one we're actually moving it. And we care about this one. This one we're actually moving it. So I'm going to try using the rigid body move instead. Rigid body dot move position. And we'll do this, and I think we need to have, since move position needs to know the final position, we're going to use transform.position plus that whole junk. And then, I'm not sure if this is actually going to fix our problem, I'm just curious if it will. We'll do a rigid body position thing. Again, rigid body dot position. And this will be transform dot position plus current platform delta. And we'll comment this one out so I know what I'm actually, I should have commented the top one out too, but whatever. So, oh, that's not what I actually wanted. I wanted rigid body dot move position. Save. Hit play. Let's see if this fixes that up a little bit. Oh, I'm not moving anymore. So that's one thing that's not working anymore. Oh, it's worse than we thought. So why is that not going? If I get rid of this call to move position, let's see what happens. Okay, so as I thought. So you really shouldn't move position more than once in a frame, unfortunately. So that kind of defeats the way that we've set this up. Does it actually fix the problem? Let's hope that it doesn't, even though it probably does now. Oh yeah, it looks beautiful. Just utterly gorgeous. That is so disappointing. Alright, so that did fix our problem, but we can't move position twice. We can probably get away with just doing the transform.position call here. And this should allow us to move back and forth, and oh, nope, it still breaks the movement. Interesting. Is there a late fixed update by any chance? Late fixed update. I have a feeling there won't be. Oh, yeah, there's not. How to achieve one, though? Probably going to be like, why would you want to do that? Nope, he figured something out. I'm not going to do it. So, alright. Damn, lots of work. Is it on the game you made, or are you on to the next project? Oh, day job. Yeah. Sorry, he was talking to Phil. Phil's not here, but people are talking to him. They care more about him than me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know that you... Well, actually, you might. Actually, you probably do, honestly, because he's way more funny. So, not funny, but you know what I mean, Phil. I'm complimenting you. I'm not trying to put you down. So what's a way that we can make this behave better? I think I'm going to go back to the original one for right now, and we'll fix this one on the next episode after I have some more time to look at it. So let's just actually comment this out this time, and then all we have to do is paste this and do plus equals. And so we do have a situation where the collision is not... Oh, I did something wrong. Oh, forgot a semicolon. Important things there. So we're going to hit play, and I'm going to push it, and we'll see that sometimes you intersect things, so that's unfortunate, but we'll figure a way around that later. So that guy actually is dying. So we still have blood cubes. They're 2D colliders, and I'm pretty sure that we haven't fixed our moving platform stuff, but let's find out if it actually kind of works. And I need to figure out why this button stuff is broken now. That's actually more worrisome than anything. So I'm going to get on this thing, and oh yeah, that doesn't have anything we can use. So this thing's not made out of ground tiles, really. Is that something we did? Moving platform. Oh, it was called exclamation point tile. It's a slightly different prefab. So let's get rid of the box collider 2D. Let's give it a physics box collider. Hit play. See if it actually operates. Whoa, I jumped way high that time, and it did not. So let's find out why. So these appear to have colliders, but they're actually not... Oh wait, they still have box collider 2D because I only changed one of them. So we want to hit apply, and then all of them should change. There we go. And to answer your question, I've done some random maze generation, but it was mostly just a script that I cribbed from online. God, that's weird that his jump is... Oh wait, I'm not... I wonder why he jumps higher sometimes. Well, this seems to be working at least. And he's staying with the platform, so that's good. Although he has a little bit of slide like we had one before, so I may have to figure out why that's happening. That actually may be due to actual friction stuff, because, as I said, the 3D tools are a little bit more robust with regards to that. Let's go ahead and fix this platform too, even though we almost never see it on the show. Physics, box collider. And let's fix the blood cubes. So if we go to prefabs, blood cube, this should have, instead of a box collider 2D, we're going to remove component and and we're going to remove the rigid body 2D and do a physics rigid body and physics box collider. And actually I'm going to leave them able to go in 3 dimensions just to see what happens now. Oh, variable blood cube of enemy has not been assigned. Don't know why that would have been unassigned. Oh, I know why. Because we probably refer to it using a rigid body. So where is this? Yep, rigid body 2D. So we switch this to a rigid body. Save. We have to change it here and change it here. And file save. And then we have to go into our zombie thing, or our blood cube. No, it's in the zombie. Yeah, where's the zombie? So our zombie is going to need a blood cube rigid body, which we drag in here, and we hit play, and he should kind of fall apart, and now we have kind of a 3D blood effect. If we want it to be 2D like before, it's very easy. All we have to do is just go to the blood cube and make them freeze their Z position and freeze their X and Y rotations. And so now it kind of functions like we did before, although I'm colliding with them. Oh, that's right, because in project settings, physics 2D is separate of physics. So we need to go into project settings, physics. Actually, I'm going to create a new inspector tab. I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to lock this one, and I'm going to just throw this here for right now. And we're going to change. This is some fanciness. We got 2 inspector tabs. That's something you can do if you need to. And we're going to do physics. And I'm just basically going to just copy this collision matrix over. I need this more comparable. That will work. Maybe that will work. Let's get rid of the animation and animator tabs for right now so I have more space. Alright, cool. So we're just going to copy this over. So player goes over there, and pickups, and then care about ground. And these ones are gone. I don't even know if everything's exactly right, but I want to make sure. I just don't want to deal with this being different at this point. So it is a little bit of work to switch between the 2D and 3D collision stuff just because there's so many things to find. So, and that's the reason the gravity is so different, is because it's actually a completely different value. We have -30 on this one, and we have -9.81 here. Let's see if we go to -30, if it looks... I have a feeling he's not going to jump at all if we do this, but I guess I'm curious. So, jump. Oh yeah, that's a... Feels more like the original jump, though, so... And actually, I'm going to, again, go over to the edge, because we were getting that higher jump on the edge, and I'm just curious if... See, now we're not colliding with the blood cubes. If I jump here, yeah, it's a better jump. And then if I'm not... So we're doing something where I'm doing something twice where I shouldn't be. Alright, I'm going to get rid of this extra inspector. Close tab. I'm going to unlock our usual inspector. And we've got 2 minutes left. I'm going to run over a little bit just so that we can clean up a few more of these problems. So, where's your body move position? So we got transform position. So where do we put the force? If input, get button down, jump button. So we'll jump false. So he has 2... The player has these 2 ground check things, and the thing is, like, the fact that when it happens because I'm over the edge, that makes me wonder if it's related to that. So I'm going to actually disable one of these just to see if that does anything. So if I play here, nope, that didn't fix it. So I don't think it has anything to do with that at all, but for some reason when we're off the edge, we get a better jump than when we're on the edge. And that's weird. Huh. Oh wait, maybe ground check still works because we still have a reference to it. Let's see what happens. I don't check for disabled, so let's see what happens if we go to the player and actually disable one of them by removing it. So I'm going to get rid of one of the ground checks here. Does this make us jump higher? No. Do we still jump higher when we get to the edge? Oh, come on, push. Yes. Okay, so it's not related to that. So I'm going to undo that, save the scene, save the project. Alright, let's try and fix the button problem. So right now I'm getting jumping and shooting on the same button, even though they should be different buttons. and both of these do jumping and shooting. And actually, let's really quickly fix the laser too. So we're going to switch the laser to be a remove component, game object, create other, no, component physics, box collider. And I'm going to hit play, and we're going to shoot at him again. And it didn't work because it needs to have, one of them needs to have a rigid body. That's the only case where you need a rigid body before, and this guy had one because we had to fix it for even the general case when there shouldn't have needed to be a rigid body when you were hitting him. So, do I want to give the rigid body to the... Let's give it to the enemy because the enemy is probably going to need gravity more than the bullets are. So, we can always give it to the bullets as well later, but the enemy probably will benefit from this. So, zombie, we're going to add physics, rigid body. I'm going to not have him have gravity right now because he'll just fall and splat. Actually, let's just see that because it's funny. Oops. Let's make him go higher up. Horrible falling zombie. Hit play. Oh, where did he go? He didn't make it, did he? No, he's still... Oh, he's just moving... Oh, he doesn't have gravity. Wait, he has gravity. What is he doing? Did I stick him up in something? I didn't realize it? So what are you doing up there and not falling? Oh, I must have given him a velocity when I... Did I move him before? No, I moved him beforehand. What is he doing now? Does the enemy do anything? No, he doesn't do anything. He just is supposed to explode when he hits things. But for some reason, he's not falling. Even though he has a box collider, and he has gravity, and he has mass. I'm gonna put him back in the scene a little bit closer and hit play. He's jiggling a little bit. It's so weird. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Huh. Is that his problem? Oh. His animations were somehow getting in his way. Maybe that's what's happening. Somehow the animations have movement data on them? They shouldn't. Let's look at the animation pane again. I'm going to put the animator as well in here again. Put this over here. So zombie sprite, yeah, all he has is... If I turn off apply root motion, what happens? There we go. Yeah, okay. That'll probably fix it. I think that we're assuming because he's not moving anywhere in that script, it was actually making him move for some reason. Let's see if there's something like that on the player. Alright, so we've got animate physics on the player. Let's see if we turn that off, if that changes anything. I'm just curious. Oh! That fixed our box problem, didn't it? No, it didn't. That was a lie. I just got really lucky with that last push. I just happened to just really make it look like everything was working just fine. So, player... Use gravity, is kinematic. I'm going to go back to animate physics just in case. Ah, you know, it shouldn't have to do any of that. So, I'm going to try and get on this platform again using my magic edge jump that works better than non-edge jumping for some reason. And I'm still sliding around, so I didn't fix the sliding around thing. Got so many things to fix now, yay. So jump and shoot are both on Z. So what is going on here? So go to player character, Fire 1 I thought was labeled Fire 2 before. I could be wrong. Well, so Fire 1 is the jump button, Fire 2 is the laser button, and if we go into project settings input, Fire 1 corresponds to Z, and Fire 2 corresponds to X. It additionally corresponds to joystick button 1 and joystick button 2, even though we don't have, rather joystick button 0, because we don't have that hooked up right now. Finished watching the dual stick shooter tutorials, hoping it will be covered. Yeah, we'll do some dynamic level generation for some sort of game at some point. We've done it before for the hills, and we I guess that's the only one we've done really for level generation. Phil has a really cool one that he did for building a city. He's gonna have to share at some point. So maybe when we hit that subject, he'll show that off. But yeah. So do these buttons still work? Yeah. Yeah. The left and right stuff still works just fine. What did I change in here that messed us up? So, oh, yeah, we changed this from, no. Jump time is greater than 0. Alright, so if get button down, jump button, and then what's the shooting logic? Oh, there we go. Push input, get button, fire 1. That would be the problem. Yeah, you were exactly right. You were just talking about it in the script as opposed to somewhere else. So now let's see if that fixes that. Yay, that's jump, that's shoot, yay. That's jump, that's jump. They're both jump. I must have screwed something up there. Main camera, jump button, fire 1, shoot button, fire 2. Alright, yep, just had everything screwed up. Nothing was wrong, just logic, as usual. Alright, so what do we have remaining? We have the why do I jump like really stupid when I'm not on an edge. And the other one is that all we have left after this? Because the, oh yeah, and why do we slide around on the platform a little bit? Whew, that's fancy. Yay, our collision's awesome. Maybe we'll go back to the 2D system considering how many troubles I'm having here. No, I'm kidding. I just need to remember how to actually set things up properly. So, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I? You are so modest. Alright, so it's 9:38. That's 8 minutes over. What would cause the jumping other than maybe... I'm going to do this even though this is going to probably break a lot of things, but I just am curious, if I switch this to fixed update, will the jumping be a little bit less bad? Nope, jumping still is bad. Is the jumping still bad here? Nope. And if I do it again, push... Oh, it may have fixed the box. No, still was able to push through. But it made it better. Probably just because it's pulling it less, so he has less potential to move. So let's go back to update. File save. So add force, transform not up, times jump power. This guy can't rotate, right? If I go with my player, we've set him up so that he's, yeah, he's locked in freeze rotation. Well, I'm going to figure this one out another time. Don't like leaving the project like that, but it happens. At least I was able to show off the input manager, and we can resume this on the next episode. So, Thank you for joining us tonight. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email me at pushypixels@pushypixels.com. You can also tweet me at Dracfire. You should also buy Phil's game, Robot Alone. It's on iOS, and it's fun, and it's called Robot Alone. And I love that Phil had time to comment on everything from home. No, I'm teasing. He's super tired, so yeah, Nashvan was totally right. And so thank you very much. And oh yeah, if you want to contact Phil, it's philip@protosoftworks.com. Hopefully I got that right. Yeah, protosoftworks.com. And he also has, his Twitter is @magmalemur, as in like the lava before it's lava and lemur. So thank you for joining us tonight, and you guys have a great night. All right, so that's the end of that episode. Do you wonder what happened there? But this is good because it's one of these things where we have to figure out how to handle this stuff for the physics thing. We may even want to switch to a non-physical solution, but using like a trigger system or even a character controller. But hey, you're welcome, man. You deserve it. But we'll see what direction we take it from here on the next episode. I'll take some time to actually look at it, and I'm going to probably do some more work on PushyInput as well, so we'll probably have a new version of that for the next 2D episode at the very least. And we'll see you on Monday. So thank you very much, and have a great night.